anything that brings you out of center and grounded, we are going to call ego programming.
Culture is a mass hallucination.
Who I thought I was must die for who I am to be.
Yo, yo, yo. What is good, gang? Coming back at you live with the Fourth Wall podcast, where we break the fourth wall of reality. This is your host, Slim Geek Rockefeller, with your other host, Zootenheimer. Today we have a very special guest. This man is an OG, real deal, authentic New York Jew. He is an entertainer, a comedian, stand-up comedian, actor, and just overall cool fella. So without further ado, I present to you Sossip.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you. Thank you for the introduction.
Hell yeah, bro. I'm glad to get this running, man. We've been talking on Instagram for a bit. You just seemed like a fascinating dude with some good experiences to share with everybody. You got good interesting viewpoints and everything.
Definitely. Thank you. Sorry, I wanted to find these sunglasses, but they're blurry and I think it makes me look like an asshole.
No, I get that. I think sometimes it feels like having armor on when you have sunglasses on, you know what I mean?
Sunglasses like that all the time. And then I lost a pair of sunglasses because sunglasses are expensive. And so once you stop buying expensive sunglasses, you kind of feel like you've lost a part of yourself. It's weird.
Yeah, it is. Having a nice pair of sunglasses is like a luxury, I feel like.
Really?
There was a period in time when I broke my glasses and ran out of contacts, and I had prescription sunglasses, just these big, dark, blacked out prescription sunglasses. And I wore them for about 13 months straight. 13 months straight, nighttime, indoors, daytime, just around the clock. Sunglass Luke, man, that was an interesting character arc.
And then when you finally take them off, the whole world is just like a different color.
One of my plugs in the mall. This dude was a fucking character. He was sitting there and he was like, yo, and I turned and I look and he's standing there with a bodyguard as always. And then he's got two blonde girls with him. He's like, yo, I got two girlfriends now, motherfucker. Check me out. And he was like, you know what it is? I had to buy, phones for the whole gang. And he opens up this bag and there's 9 iPhones in there. And he just turns and looks at his little posse. He's like, I fucking love this kid. You know what? Every time I see him, the motherfucker's got sunglasses on, no matter what.
Who is this?
Sitting there thinking I can't see without them. This is one of the most dangerous people I ever met, to be honest with you. He's still in prison, but it was one of my plugs. When I was wrapped up in the organized trap shit. He was I'm not gonna say his name, but he was a character and a half, dude.
Where are you from?
Say again?
Where are you from again?
I'm from North Carolina, from Raleigh, Hoop City, baby, the 919.
Rehab with the kids from Raleigh, dude. It gets kind of crazy up there, North Carolina, because I've got cousins in Asheville. Yeah. I don't know if you know Asheville, but
I lived in Asheville for a bit too, and went to rehab in Asheville.
Oh no shit! I tried to go to a rehab in Asheville. It's probably the same place. What was your experience in Asheville?
Asheville's been referred to as the hippie capital of the East Coast. Exactly. It's a beautiful place, dude. The mountains are fucking amazing. You got the Smoky Mountains, Blue Ridge Mountains, Pisgah National Forest. It's just phenomenal, bro. The people there are very loving and left-leaning druggies. A lot of the crowd, the counterculture crowd there. There's a big recovery community too. The rehab I went to was in the farming township of Leicester, which is outside of Asheville, but the corporate office was in Asheville. I ended up working for that company, later on down the line when I stayed sober. Worked for their adolescent campus called Foothills. But yeah, the place was called Red Oak. It was a very fascinating rehab. I got a scholarship to go there. They let me come there for free. Because yeah, there was a whole thing. Like it was
Congrats, you're going to rehab.
yeah, literally. I was in a free state-run institution, like a Wakebrook Hospital, that was just like gnarly, dude, and
I'm
rough.
sure it was
And I was kind of,
luxurious. Yeah.
dude, it was. I was the only one in there that hadn't been to jail or prison, and the people in there, because in rehabs, kids will be like, or people, grown people too, will be like, this is like jail. This is worse than jail, and everyone's like, bro, shit, no, it isn't. The fucking not. There's food here. This is a nice
Yeah,
luxurious.
we're watching
rehab,
reruns of Seinfeld all day.
yeah, literally. But in this spot, bro, yeah, everyone was like, yo, this bitch is worse than fucking jail. And they were all the dead ass, straight face, like real talk, like, nah, I'd rather be in county right now. Fuck this. Like that place was gnarly, bro. It was a lockdown psych ward detox. You get scrubbed. They take your shoelaces and belts and all that. You gotta press the button on the shower for the water to pop out every 30 seconds. All the furniture is like slanted and suicide proof. The pillows are smother proof. You don't get real pins. You have the little floppy jail pins.
Damn, dude, it's like that down there in the South, huh?
Yeah, the dirty South is something else, dude.
People
I
are
lived in
fucked up
Alabama.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Florida, too. Like even though Florida has nice rehabs, like their like mental health facilities are fucked up. Like I got sent to a psych ward because I was in a rehab down there called Karen Renaissance, and basically it was like my first time going to rehab. And I called my parents and I was like, I don't feel safe at this place. I was like, I need to go to a mental health facility. They're like, no, you don't have mental health, Sam. You got rehab. You got addiction. And
that's not mental health.
And I'm like, yo, like my fucking therapist is saying that I have mental health problems. And like, there's this place called like Mending Fences, which I think is like the perfect like metaphor for like what I was trying to do in my life at the time. I was trying to mend some fences, that I've like burned some bridges. I'm trying to like mend some fences, like, and my parents were like, no, we will not be bullied into sending you to this mental health facility. And so like I like, bro, it's fucking ridiculous. And so like I was trying to get this girl to like buy me a flight home. The tech hung up the phone on me, and I was like, yo, what the fuck? He's like, go back to your room. And so I went back to my room. I filled up a cup of water. I like went back into the place, and I was like, yo, I just want to say I'm sorry. I threw the water at him. I was like, how do you like the waterfall, bitch? And like I got like and tried to get sent. And then I went to another detox. The detox lady was like, yes, he should go to Mending Fences. And my parents were like, we will not be bullied. And so they finally ended up like settling on sending me to this like 30-day program rehab in Delray, Florida, called like Transitions or whatever. I don't even know what the fuck it was called. Good place, but like wasn't like the mental health stuff that I needed. And so then they sent me to like sober living, and after that it was sort of just seemed like they were kind of like pawning me off to like other people where they could kind of like monitor what was going on there, but like at the same time like not like dude like I was like in my mid to like late 20s, like I didn't need that, like, with too late too little, you know what I'm saying? Like they like were trying to make up for like parenting that just like hadn't been done at an earlier age. I don't need this, like, because like how could you go from like living in New York like completely on your own, doing whatever the fuck you want, to, like going to live under like a supervision? Like it just doesn't work. It's like the kid from fucking Macaulay Culkin, like when he has like keys, you're gonna be like, all right, now you gotta go back to normal, kid. Because you're like, yo, I fucking stayed in a hotel room by myself, bitch. Like,
yeah, no, I feel that for sure. That's definitely an interesting point of view, and I've never heard anyone articulate that before. And I think it like really kind of hits on a interesting thing that I feel like people are overlooking. That like you can't just put people into the certain conditions like that and expect them to heal when like your brain is like the only thing your brain is thinking about is like I've lost my freedom and liberty. Like you're not really in the mindset to take in
apartments,
It's also so interesting too how your parents were like, oh sorry, my esophagus didn't want to function there. You're sneaking turkey on the side. Crazy how your parents, and it's honestly not crazy, if it's extremely common, I feel like, how one thing was socially acceptable, but the other wasn't. They're okay to admit and treat addiction, but God forbid a child of mine has mental health issues. Fuck no. He's just a troubled addict. He's not, which for some people, they would much rather it be, oh, I have mental health issues, but I'm not an addict. You know what I mean?
That's what I.
Interesting. Sorry, excuse me. That's
But it's
interesting.
It is interesting because, like, as a kid, like, my mom was so fine with me getting diagnosed with ADHD and being like, "You need to take an Adderall, Sam," and then, like, but then she was like so not okay with like admitting the repercussions from maybe like that exact attitude that she made. You know what I'm saying? Like she was always my, and it
I
was
feel that.
easy to put that on the addiction.
Yeah, addiction ends up being an interesting scapegoat for families. I've seen it with a lot of people, and I can kind of relate to that as well with my own mother. Hi, mom, if you're listening. Not trying to throw you under the bus here at all. But where addiction then seems to be a sort of catch-all thing, a scapegoat. Honestly, yeah, you can then blame for any dysfunction in the family, any other mental health that has a worse stigma or a stigma that's not okay to them. Um, oh, you don't have X, Y, and Z. That's just because you were an addict. And
No, I
yeah,
also think
it's
others will like take that as like a kind of like an attack too. It's like no. It's like I just think like addicts are very like people who are able to do a lot of like self reflection. And so I think that it's hard for us to like deal with certain people who like can't take or like have a hard time taking that self reflection. Yeah.
I hear that. I hear that. What is the worst? Well, how many rehabs have you been to?
So let's see. I've been to Karen for 2 weeks because I got there and I was talking to kids. I was like, how long you been here? It's a $30,000 cash month pay, and they're like, I've been here for like 9 months, brother. And I was like, holy fuck. And like these kids were like all like young, like white, like suburban, like rich as fuck. Like one was the daughter of like a fucking Texas oil like miner or whatever.
Father's an oil man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it was crazy. And she was there because she was like dating her coke boyfriend or something, like her coke dealer. So I think her parents were just upset, that she was having a little too much fun, but she was very. But yeah, so I was there for like 2 weeks. So I was like, this place is fucked, and because like they would basically hold like what's called a mock funeral. They put you in like a fucking casket and then like invite your family to your fake funeral. Yeah.
What the fuck?
They all prep for in case someone relapses and dies. Like this is what's going to happen if he doesn't stop using.
Dude, because like people would like go there for alcohol problems and like leave with some scumbag dude and go overdose on fentanyl at like some like sketchy ass motel by the beach, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
dude, it happened.
Happened while you were there?
Yes, like this girl named Hannah, rest in peace, dude. Like I remember like being in one of her classes and being like, yo, you gotta like not be so hard on yourself. Like, you went through some fucked up shit as a kid. Your parents were on the move constantly. I was like, don't beat yourself up so much. And it seems like these parents like sent their kids to kind of just like go be like fucking scorned for their own problems and kind of just be like told to like be like deal with it, you bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like fault that you fucking used alcohol as an escape from fucking the dysfunction that you clearly all had. You know what I'm saying? That you guys are spoiled brats. Like that's not what a fucking addict needs to hear, bro.
Yeah,
like,
and the thing is like a lot of I hear, it's really easy for us to go like, oh, well, this thing was $30,000 a month. That doesn't necessarily mean their treatment was any better than like you go to these rehabs and it's hit or miss. So like all these people, we all have these fucked up issues, man, and it's like it's like a lottery on whether or not you're gonna happen to run into someone that's able to help you at all with them.
Bro, exactly.
The addict needs shame the way the drowning man needs salt water.
You said what?
That an addict needs shame in the same way a drowning man needs salt water, or a dehydrated man needs salt water.
Dude, and like trying to explain this to your parents who are like obviously, well off, like, business savvy people being like, dude, this is obviously like corrupted. It's a scam. And they keep calling you every month and saying, well, Sam's improved so much, but we really think an extension would be in order.
Yeah.
And no matter what, you're going to get recommended to a sober living or halfway house that they're, in cahoots
getting
with,
kickbacks from. Yeah.
My dad's like, no, it's not like that. Because my cousin Michael owns a sober living in Delray, Florida called The Bridge, and he's the one that got me the connection to Karen Renaissance. And so when I got kicked out of Karen Renaissance, we're on the phone with Michael and Karen. He's like, "Oh, you made a mistake." He's like, "Beg them that you can't stay there." He's like, "Try to get back into the rehab." And I'm just like, "Why are you like still like?" I was like, "It just seems like there was like some kind of economic push, you know." And like, I am making accusations. Fuck it, you know what I'm saying? And like, like it's been like, yeah, he's been like super cold to me. Like I remember like when I was going from sober living to this apartment right here, like I needed a hotel for a night, and I called him. I was like, "Hey, cousin Mike, cousin Michael," I was like, "Hey, I need like a hotel." He's like, "Can't help you, bye." You know, like just like cold as fuck, dude. Like, you know, and like luckily my grandma, rest in peace, got me a hotel that night. But then you have like people in my family being like, "Oh, like he's like homeless, yada yada." And I'm like, no, I was like just like transitioning from a sober living where they try to like kick you out on your feet, you know, and make it so that you're homeless, and like right away get an apartment. It was tough. Like there was like a week buffer period, you know.
That's an interesting pipeline that happens quite a bit. The one that you already mentioned, which is the legal and or minor drug issue to hardcore junkie pipeline. You go to rehab, you meet people who have access to these crazy drugs you've only seen or heard about in movies. You're like, you hear how great they feel from a lot of people. You're like, damn, like heroin or meth or crack. That shit sounds kind of fun. Like, huh? You know, a lot of times people fall in love or they trauma bond, and then they want to impress person they meet. And so yeah, you get people that go to rehab for fucking alcohol and then end up becoming a heroin addict or a fentanyl addict because of the rehab. But the other pipeline is go to rehab in a nice, what you think is going to be a nice like getaway retreat place, like South Florida, and you're from, like, it's a kid from fucking Pennsylvania or whatever, Texas. You end up in South Florida, relapse, get kicked out, now you're homeless, stuck in a place where you don't know anybody and don't have any resources to get out. And the rehab is just like, convinces the family, or the family's just done with you, or you don't have any family to help, or like, the rehab will convince them. I've seen a lot of times like, "Oh, you got to set boundaries. Whatever you do not let them come home. Do not let them do this or that." I've checked myself into rehab every single time I've gone, except for the very first time when I was 19. I made the decision to go to detox, and while in detox, I talked to my parents, like, explain to them, just try to explain to them addiction and shit that was going on. This was another like state-run place called Holly Hill in Raleigh, North Carolina. And then they came and picked me up and like locked the car. And I thought they were gonna just drop me back off at my little, what was actually a trap house, to be honest. I was just gonna continue on living. I had gotten through my detox, and they locked the car door and drove me up to a rehab in Greensboro, North Carolina. And I wasn't like, they lied to me and tricked me about doing it. And they thought they were doing what was for the best. But after that, anytime I would ever go to rehab, which has been literally over 20 something times, I don't sign ROIs for anybody. I don't let anybody know what's going on. I just go and fucking handle my business and do my thing, dude. And then I let them know off rip, like, "I know how this shit works, bro. Like, I'm not automatically just going to go to the place that you recommend afterwards because you're going to get money from it if it's not in my best interest." I think sober livings can have diminishing returns for a lot of people. It saves some people's lives, and a lot of people need it. But I think sober livings in general are just hellacious environments, in my opinion. They're just,
it's like, let's put a bunch of fucking ants in a jar and shake them up. That sounds like a good idea. Yeah, let's put a bunch of people that have tenuous sobriety and have them live all together. Sounds like a terrible idea.
Well, dude, it's like after you've gone to rehab, so you don't want to have to go to a sober living every fucking time you've done it, because like you know what that is, you know what the steps are. You're like, all right, I know what I'm not going to do. Like, why do I have to go through this? Like you said, like, like just stupid step to get to like where I want to be. And it's like, it's also not really like recovery, because like, being in a rehab, for example, is like a bubble. Like people are like, "Oh, I've got like 4 months sober here." Not really. You're in a rehab. And then like they're in sober living. They're like, 3 months sober here. Not really. But it's like, I got 11 months Cali sober at a fucking apartment, like where my roommate was like an alcoholic, doing coke all the time. And then like, so I had a relapse, like, when my grandma died. But like, that's one relapse, like, on my own living, like, and that's against doing it like the way they told me to do it, right? Like I left the sober living because the owner was an asshole telling me I was going to relapse, like trying to get me to relapse, you know what I'm saying? and then like lied to my parents, said that I like left there with like a fake with a diluted or whatever piss test that failed or whatever, and that wasn't even true. So my parents are thinking that I failed and got kicked out, even though I left on my own volition. And so I called them, and then like that was the end of my relationship with my parents. And so now they think like they just haven't spoken to me the last 11 months, but I've lost like all this weight, like, but, just really trying to like stay honest with myself and know that like I can get back to that at any time. And so I need to like remember to smoke weed, because that's like my best recovery tool. It's just like cannabis, really, like, and remembering that like I am an addict, obviously, and it's easy for me to use that as an escape, like an escape from like, and I'm not like punishing myself anymore. Like I know that that was an escape from like a lot of trauma as a kid, and like now I know that it's an escape from like what's going on in your reality now. And it's just kind of like, it's the easy way to go about life, it's sort of just like killing yourself while you're still alive.
Yeah.
One thing that's so rampant in the recovery community, the treatment industry, to me, is a lot of shame-based stuff towards addicts, and then a lot of intolerance, especially within the 12-step community, a lot of intolerance and closed-mindedness towards harm reduction and any sort of drug maintenance recovery. I can't tell you how many people I've met that no longer shoot fentanyl or shoot meth or smoke crack, but they smoke weed, or maybe they drink occasionally. And I do understand cross-addiction and the very real possibility that for a lot of people, if you are a true blue full-blown addict and you are able to stop one DOC and you start another substance, it is very likely that then can become a DOC for, or you can become addicted to that. But it's not an absolute. It's not black and white. And in the 12-step community as a whole, and I love it and I hate it, right? I went to meetings for years and years and years. I worked the 12 steps. I stayed sober one time with AA's help and NA's help and everything. But there just seems to be this like emphasis on an arbitrary number, whereas the program itself teaches spiritual growth is what's up, getting a better life, becoming a better person. But I find so many people in it, what turns me off from it is people who are just like, oh, you're on Suboxone, well then you're not sober, but I am. Oh, you did this, well then you're not sober, you know what I mean? And just like, it's like, why do you care about policing other people's journey rather than just focus on becoming a better person?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there's just assholes everywhere, you know what I mean? But I think I think what you mentioned though that like really touched me was how there's like this emphasis on the number, right? And I think that has become like a replacement for the spiritual growth thing that it's supposed to be about. And like everyone there is like this hive that are all chasing this number, but what the fuck does that matter if you don't become a better person? You just happen to be sober, right? Like I think one of the things in my sobriety that I'm really thankful for is that it's forced me to really analyze who I am, and because of that and through that I've like really grown as a person, and that's kind of like a silver lining or a gift that the addiction has given me, right? And I wouldn't want to go through sobriety if I didn't get that part of it, and I don't think if I was just chasing some arbitrary number that I would have been forced to like really deal with that stuff, because you feel like that's enough for you when you have this token you can show off to people, right? It's like this medal that you pin to your lapel, right? And I don't know, I've noticed that too, like with certain people in my life, I'll just say that maybe they have gotten a certain level of clean time or sober time, but they're just still assholes. And it's like, what's the fucking point? You're just still a piece of shit. You still treat people like shit. You just aren't high while you're doing it. Like,
you're getting road rage, you're angry, you're gambling, you're cheating on your wife, or you're pounding fuckloads of energy drinks and chain smoking cigarettes. Those are mood or mind altering chemicals or substances. I just know I hate the stigma towards people that find a way to use other substances with respect, discipline, or properly. Like psychedelic medicine is so promising and so just viable to help people with addiction, but the overarching mindset or viewpoint, school of thought in the 12-step community will be, oh well, they're not sober. Okay, well, so what? If you don't think they're sober, then that's fine. And yeah, they're not. I also, a lot of it boils down to ego of the people who are still using something and who desperately want to claim, oh, I'm sober. It's like, okay, well, by the definition of the word, objectively, no, you're not sober. You're on a substance, but you're in recovery. You're doing good. You're not doing the stuff you were away from. Like, there's this girl that gave me, I know that I'm friends with, no hate to her, but she gave me this whole speech about how, she's on Adderall, but she's sober because she takes it as prescribed and it's from her doctor and her sponsor said it's okay. And her friend did ketamine treatment, but her friend's still sober because her AA home group said it was okay because she did it through a doctor's thing. But because I did my ketamine, at home ketamine treatment, my psychedelic intentional ketamine experience, I'm not sober. And it's a matter of, even though I am sober right now, I stayed sober after that. And I'm not going to sit there and be like, yes, I have a nonstop streak of sobriety. I stayed sober for 3 months. I did ketamine and nitrous for a weekend, and then I got back to being sober and have been sober for the past 2 weeks since. And I plan to stay sober for 3 months at a time and then do ketamine once every 3 months or however often I need it. And I don't know, it was really giving an intense, Kohlberg's theory of moral development. There's like a 4th grade level of moral reasoning or whatever it is where people think, because an authoritative force says it's okay, then it's okay. And because the law and authority figure says it's wrong, then it's wrong. There's so much nuance in all of it. And I was just wanted to be like, I don't care at the end of the day about being sober or being, hardcore, stringently abstinent. I want to be a better person. I want to not, and I don't know, it's being slightly hypocritical right now because it seems like I'm trying to put down those people, or I'm getting just as caught up in, their policing, I guess, as they are towards other people's sobriety. But I don't know. It's just,
I don't think it's
the reason it grinds my gears so much is because I think it makes a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm trying so hard. I'm not, smoking crack with homeless people anymore, or overdosing on fentanyl every other week. But these people think I'm a scumbag because I smoke weed to help me with my cravings. Well, if everyone says I'm not sober and like I'm still a piece of shit for smoking weed, then why even bother trying to stay away from the hard stuff or the worst stuff?
Why tell them?
I don't know. Go ahead.
Why tell them?
Well, yeah, no, exactly. I wanted to get this girl's perspective because I knew she was a hardcore AA person, and I was thinking like, damn, AA taught me for so long that no matter what, because I'm an addict, because I'm a pickle, I can't ever become a cucumber again. And if I use any substance, except for nicotine and caffeine, if I use any substance of any type, even one time, then immediately the genie's out of the bottle, the beast is out of the cage, and I'm going to go balls to the wall. One is too many, 1,000's never enough, and I'm going to use all my DOCs under the sun and not be able to stop. And I told her I wanted to be honest with her, like, hey, like, I was able to do the ketamine and nitrous and put it down, not do anymore. The nitrous I regret doing. Like, yeah, I wanted to get high, scratch that itch, whatever. But nitrous is a very slippery slope for me. Probably should continue to stay away from that. But the ketamine helped me a lot snap out of a seasonal depression cycle I was slipping into. It was a very recovery, sobriety themed trip where I was constantly reflecting on the past 3 months of sobriety, the 12 years of active addiction as a whole, the one past period of sobriety I was able to get. It was just, it was an overall very helpful, beneficial thing. And I don't feel any worry or issue about me staying sober from now on or continuing to grow. And I was like, I listed all the pros and all the cons and whatnot. I wanted to see her perspective. And the overarching thing she was so concerned with was just making sure to let me know that I was not sober and that she was sober, even though she takes Adderall every day because AA said so. But AA said, I'm not sober, make it. And I was like, I was like, man, it seems like you're really missing the point of spiritual development overall. It was an interesting kind of long debate or conversation. But if I'm able to stay sober for the most part and then, do some ketamine once every 3 months, which is 4 times a year, and then I still accumulate perpetual time of sobriety from all the other things that were killing me or ruining my life and harming others around me for so long, that's pretty damn good, dude. And I'll take that. And I'm on methadone maintenance, and that helps me on a day-to-day basis. So like, I want to ask both of you guys, like, Zoot, for you, how long have you been sober how do you define your recovery? What does recovery look like for you?
Not trying to kill myself, like through the substances I'm using. I mean, for me, there's like a very clear difference between when I'm actively using, which is like my drug of choice is opiates or opioids. And, I will just buy as much as I can afford and use it all until I literally am destroying my life to the point where I'm not going to be able to make a car payment. So I have to start selling shit or like that kind of shit. And there's a very clear difference between those behaviors that I engage in and kind of what you're talking about, where if I would occasionally, I'll go out with my friends and I'll have drinks like once every 2 months, and I can like totally do that and not go off the rails and have it ruin my life. Or, you know, like in the past, I would use ketamine every once in a while and it would not derail me. But the second I touch any sort of opioid, it's going to be hell on earth unleashed on myself. And I know there's a very clear difference between that. So I don't really get caught up in that. Like my goal is not to like make other people happy with being able to tell them my sobriety time. That's not why I got clean. I got clean because I was going to die if I didn't. And so anything that I'm doing or any time that I have that I'm not actively trying to kill myself like that, is sobriety time. But if you wanted like the clear answer would be, when I first got clean, I was 21. And I was using IV heroin back then because there was no like real fentanyl ever around. And I got on methadone and I was clean for like 12 years on methadone, got off of that and had 3 years completely free of methadone and then had a relapse last year. And so it's been like, I don't know, I think like 9 months now or so that I've been completely clean again, I guess on methadone. But not, you know, there's been times where I was on methadone and still using. And so that's why I think it's kind of a misnomer for people to say that if you're on methadone, then you're not using, or that you're using, because if that's the case, then what do we call it when people are on methadone and using? You know what I mean? Because there's clearly a distinction there where you can, you
using
know,
2.0.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just, I've had like a very interesting, like,
the relapse was shooting
experience.
fence.
Yeah.
I'm glad you fucking survived it, dude.
Yeah, I don't know how I did. I don't know. I mean, I would like, you know, I found random dudes. I found a random guy I happened to run into at a casino one time. It's kind of funny, like if you think about how people talk about the gambling, like cross addiction thing, and like I happened to find a fent dealer there.
It was out there.
Well, but the thing is I think there is a real connection there between the type of mindset you get into when you're using and gambling, because I had like a bad night there and I'd gamble like every once in a while. Like it's not like a I don't know what you would call it. Like it's not like a
compulsion thing for you.
But that night, like it was really bad, and I like blew all the money that I had that I went with to go there, and I like was like really pissed off when I was leaving, and I just happened to like run into this guy that looked like a dealer, and I was like, I'm just gonna ask him just to see, you know, and like he happened to be a dealer, and so I met up with him like on the way home, and that kicked off like my whole relapse that lasted like 6 months and almost like ruined my life. And it was just a weird, like, you know, like I just happened to be in a bad state of mind and make a bad decision one night, and it like totally changed the trajectory of my life again, you know? So I think like there is some validity to people saying like, be careful with the cross addiction, not just because like you will go down a path of being addicted to like a new thing. Like some people will get addicted to alcohol or whatever, but because you make bad decisions while you're using those things. Like there's people I know that, you know, they're clean and then maybe they drink for a night and they don't go balls deep on alcohol, but the alcohol that they get fucked up that one night and they make a bunch of crazy ass decisions because they're drunk. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, now you're using again because, you know, so yeah, that's my,
or it tickles your brain just enough to where you're like, damn, this is cool, but like, I want what I really want.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sossip, before I go to you with this question, I want to add a couple disclaimers here, just points, I guess. One is, I'm not promoting people to go out and try to learn moderation or tell them, you know, once you've been clean or in recovery or been to rehab, then it's okay to go try using again or everybody can learn it. Nor am I saying I am the exception. I am just stubborn enough and hard-headed enough and not willing to be totally fully abstinent that I am willing to run the experiment and the risk of me trying ketamine every now and then to help me stay off of other shit. And I will say there is some validity and rationale. There's a lot of validity and rationale to the whole black or white thinking AA preaches about, like, you know, once you do one thing, it's off to the races. Because for me, truly, that is true with most things. I can't tell you how many times I've thought I'm just gonna smoke weed this one time, and then I end up smoking weed all day every day, and then it's not enough, and then I start drinking, and then or I think I'll just have one drink, and then I'm back to pounding a fifth a day, or I'm just gonna take one Xanax bar, and then I'm ordering liquid vials of bromazolam and smoking crack. Like it really has happened almost every time for me in that way. So many times to where I'm not willing to run the experiment with most things, but psychedelics, I I just don't think I have that issue with, and I am willing to run the experiment there.
Yeah.
Um,
I think like
also, I do have matters.
there's like a
Go ahead.
general I think like we there's so much black and white thinking. I think a lot of these like statements and philosophies are like they're true when you look at them as a like for like a majority of cases, right? Like you can make you can posit
net.
you can posit like a statement and it's true for like most situations or cases, right? But then there's always going to be exceptions, and that's true with like individuals. Like some people just break the mold, or like it within on a case by case basis, certain people they're like like you have a certain flavor or chemistry that like you can that fits for you. And I think that's a big problem with the way we've done addiction treatment, is that like it hasn't been as personalized, I think, and I think that's just like we just don't know enough about the human mind yet. But
I
sorry,
think also
go ahead.
No, that's awesome. I think also it lends itself to like if you tell yourself enough times and hear enough times in the meetings, oh, if I do one thing, then it's off to the races and I'm fully fucked again. You say that enough times, hear that enough times, you start to believe it. And then what would be a lapse or a single slip up, you could be like, damn, I had a couple beers and smoked a joint at a wedding. Then I can stop and get back on the wagon and continue to be good. But it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of like, oh, well, and kind of an excuse like, oh, well, I did this. I guess I got to go get some heroin now.
Might as well.
Some ice. Like,
I already lost. Well, that's the thing is that's why the
control.
clean time is such a bad idea, because when you lose it, you're like, well, fuck it then. I lost all those days. Because we're so focused on that sobriety time that like if you slip up, then it's like, well, why don't I just, I've ruined everything. I've lost all that. I might as well just go off to the races, So I think that's a pitfall of that philosophy.
And I do have massive respect, and I acknowledge how intense and how difficult it is for people to get that total pure abstinence from everything except nicotine and caffeine for a prolonged period of time. And like, it's hardcore. And I'm not going to sit here and try to die on a hill or convince people I am sober. It's like, even at the methadone clinic, I was like, yeah, I know I'm like, not technically sober, and my methadone counselor was like, yes you are, and I was like, well, I'm never going to go to someone on Suboxone or methadone and say, hey, you're not sober, by the way. It's like, dude, that's such a shame-based, horrible put down thing from people who aren't on MAT that a lot of them use to make themselves feel better or holier than thou. But I guess was looking at it from a logical point of view. I was like, well, I am dependent on methadone, so I like each day I take a very powerful opioid and am on it, but yes, I'm in recovery, you know what I mean? So that I just think that there's a lot of people out there that are going to use drugs no matter what and are not willing to stop. And I'm one of those people. I'm always going to use drugs for the rest of my life. The goal is to just use them in the least harmful way, in the least amount possible, I guess, and have the most periods of sobriety and growth and personal development throughout. And just, the doctor put it to me great one instance. She was like, it's a relapsing and remitting disease where the goal is to decrease the severity and frequency of the relapses. And so, yeah. So, sossip, what's your definition of recovery? How do you look at your recovery?
Well, you have it very like pragmatically, but like I think recovery is just like any kind of positive push forward and positive development. And like you said, I don't like to like overshadow or underplay any progress, just because like a relapse got in the way. It's like really just like ultimately how much you've changed and progressed the person, and how much like self-reflection you've done and how much growth you've done. Like that's where the growth comes. And I think recovery and sobriety are two completely different things. And that's why I don't tell people I'm sober. I tell people like I've definitely recovered a lot though. I'm in recovery today. But I just don't really go around. Like, I don't know. I do like to sit in sometimes on like NA meetings just because like get juicy. But
all the tea
yeah,
from all the sick fucks around town. I say that as a sick fuck, by the way. Someone who's attended probably over 1,000 AA meetings a day.
take the meat and leave the bones type shit, and like
leave the bone. That's good.
be that person who raises their hand, like, tells about like my cannabis use or whatever. Like if they want to like make that own, determination that I'm on MAT and then like they can or whatever. I'm not gonna go in there. I'm on methadone and I'm proud.
Yeah.
Someone does want to come up to me and ask me what's up, I'll be like, yeah, I don't know if you're gonna like this or not, but yeah, I'll tell them the truth. But I've seen a lot of people methadone can work for them, and then also methadone is kind of really the only, besides Suboxone, like the only full blown agonist like treatment we have in America. Versus like
Suboxone's a partial, so methadone is the only full. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
But that's the only full agonist treatment we have in America, and so really it's just a replacement, and that's why so many people are on such high doses nowadays because the fentanyl that's on. I mean, I'm on a relatively small dose compared to like some of the people I know. Not to like put that by comparison by any means, but I guess like I'm just trying to say is that like if we were to legalize and sort of like regulate oxycodone, I think that there would be like a lot less problems. Same with like oxymorphone, and people are more addicted to heroin. That's just my opinion, but yeah.
Yeah, no, dude, I was talking to some people on Instagram that reached out to me in Canada, and then there was one dude, I believe he was in either Germany, somewhere in Western Europe. Something called, I think it was called Cadian was the brand name, but for people who have been on Suboxone or methadone treatment in one instance, and it either didn't work for them or they've just tried both. And then another, well, I'll say this one first, and there's another instance. For people who have been on Suboxone and methadone, they can get the option to get on Cadian, I think it's called, which is XR morphine. And so they're given morphine at a clinic, and that's their MAT thing. More interesting and sorry, go ahead.
Diaphragm?
That's what is that diacetylmorphine? Is that the pharmaceutical heroin?
Yeah, that's the one in Sweden, I believe, or Switzerland.
That's the next thing I was gonna say. I met someone who told me if you are over, it was like the preliminary stuff was like if you're over the age of 21 or maybe somewhere it was 25, and you have proven that you were an IV heroin user for X amount for X period of time, then they'll give you pharmaceutical grade heroin. They'll give you diacetylmorphine as your MAT.
Right,
that's freaking gnarly.
I don't think that you'd be able to go there. I mean, I'm just being realistic. Like, it would be dope if you could get like citizenship and then live there, but I don't think that's possible. But
I'm all about regulating substances and ending prohibition. Like the drugs have been winning the war on drugs for a hot minute now. And I know Portland in a lot of people's eyes was a failed experiment, but then you look at Portugal and they fucking killed it when they legalized everything and regulated everything. The crime went down, the recidivism went down. It was just phenomenal. So we got to look at like, what did Portugal do right and what did we do wrong in Portland?
Yeah, it's definitely about the implementation part of it is important there. It's not just like it's going to work no matter what. There's probably a lot of key regulatory things going on that they did right.
They have fentanyl in Portugal?
I think, well, this was in like
it's a long time
2001, 2002. It was early aughts. So it was before fentanyl was prevalent in the street supply. But I would be interested to look that up, if fentanyl was grandfathered into the law, but they decriminalized and they decriminalized every drug.
Would have happened. Like fentanyl is just the reason like why it's not working is because fentanyl is not like a recreational drug, bro. It's a anesthetic.
Yeah, fentanyl is a whole new beast, dude. I think this homie's dead right now, unfortunately, but it was this Hell's Angel nomad guy that I was talking to on Instagram. Dude was telling me about bodies he'd caught, talking about all crazy stuff, dude. And he was smoking ice and snorting Fetty on camera with me. I haven't done ice or Fetty in a long time, over 2 years now for both. Only over a year for crack, but 2 years for Fetty and ice, which I'm really proud of. But he was, I don't know. My instinct was to be like, "Oh, bro, do you want me to send you some fentanyl test strips for your dope?" And then he looked up at me and he was like, "Why? So I can make sure it's pure fentanyl?" He's like, "Dog, that's the only shit that touches me out here." He's like, "I try to get car fent when I can." It's like, holy shit, dude, car fentanyl is gnarly. I've met another dude like that though, who purposely would seek out car fentanyl.
The kid that introduced me to hard, his dad he owned a car dealership in Indianapolis, and his son was like doing heroin at like 15 and like carfentanil at like 17, 18. And he introduced me like when I was like 21. And now he works in recovery. He's sober for like 8 or 9 years, and he like gave me his amends. He's like, "I'm so sorry I got you smoking hard." I was just like, "It's all good, dude." He's like, "Yeah, but I feel so guilty." And so like I've kind of made that vow to like never introduce anybody to that shit if I can, you know.
That's like the Suboxone song "Bad Fish." A bad fish is someone that introduces someone else to heroin for the first time. So, Sasa,
Exactly.
would you say hard is your crack is your drug of choice above all the other substances, or are you a garbage can junkie like myself, just
I would say,
poly drug user?
I would say now that I'm stabilized on methadone, like hard would be kind of like that go-to, just because, but like that's so popular in the methadone community. I don't know if that's like that where your guys' clinics are at, but at my clinic it's like very common for a lot of people to also smoke hard, or you know. And I think like I realized like the inclination is because your body is, you know, becoming like depressed, and so you want to be up. And so it's very common. I learned from a doctor who's an addiction specialist that a lot of people in MAT also have problems with crack cocaine. And so knowing that, you know, knowing that crack is a psychological addiction, like it's pretty easy to kind of cut yourself in the curtails of just being like, okay, all right, stop it. You know, you're smarter than that, you know, if you're able to kind of, but that's very difficult for a lot of people to do. And like a lot of people, they just kind of let it take it over. And like,
The
um,
crane's coming, dude. Hear that bell get rung? It's hard to stop crack, man.
they have a mission right now. Like me personally, like I'm trying to move to Denver. You know, an apartment is the down payment is around $1,200 or $1,300. I get paid $500 a week, so I'm spending that money doing that shit. It's obviously not going to be conducive to me, you know, bettering my life. So I think it's a lot about priorities. You know, I'm not saying that you can, I'm not saying objectively that you can consume drugs and, you know, like live and be okay. Like, it's not me recommending that, but I am saying that, like, you know, realizing that you are in the driver's seat and, like, you know, taking control of your own life, because I've done it before, is possible. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude, for you putting down the crack. Like, I'm proud of you. That's
Yeah.
tough shit, and that's
Well,
impressive.
I'm kind of like, but I've done it before, you know, like, and so for 11 months, you know, just smoking weed, like, and, you know, for just like a few week bender, I think, after my grandma died or whatever, here and there, definitely getting fit, you know, 3 weeks changed to a month, who knows, but the point of the matter is that like, I know like when I have a mission, like when I have like an objective, like I put everything aside. And like when I had to move from my, sober living to this place. Like, of course, I got high when I first moved here, but I was like, you know what? I don't really enjoy this anymore. And then I put down the pipe for 11 months, you know? And, like, I just was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm smoking weed. Like, and I really liked the consistency. I was substitute teaching every day. I was also working at a sales company before that, but then I quit my job and then I was working as a teacher every day. I really liked that. So, you know, constructiveness, like a structure, and consistency is key to a happy life.
Yeah. Did you have
Dude.
like some of those notes that we were gonna get into, Luke? I think
Yeah,
we
yeah.
should try
I was
to.
really just thinking that. I was gonna
Yeah,
at closing comment for what we were just talking about.
for
There's no such
perfect.
thing as leftover crack for most people. Crack is the one thing I found that like directly proportional to however much money you make, you will continue to spend more and more and more and more on crack. It will bankrupt someone faster than any other substance. Nitrous is, for me at least, nitrous does that quite a
Dude,
bit as well. Um, and then yeah, one other thing, one of my big homies who's been sober now for coming up on 10 years at this point. He has a friend who, for years and years and years, would smoke crack once a year on his birthday and just keep it to that and
That's
have a
awesome.
little once a year crack binge. And he was able to handle it, and that was what's up. So I've got talking about sossip about what it's like to lose weight and like going from someone who I guess identified and was objectively from a scientific standpoint like I want to say fat but overweight to someone now who is not, and what that does to the mental state and how that is. I think that's awesome. Weight loss. Um, talk about switch from Suboxone to methadone and like what experience with Suboxone was like. I also wanted to talk about my therapist and some interesting. My therapist confessed to me that he's actually been using the whole time we've been meeting, and he told me he was sober. That's why we started. Like he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm in recovery. Yeah, that's why I can be your therapist for addiction stuff. Like I'm sober. Yeah, yeah, and all this stuff." And we had a session last week, and I hope, man, only
I'm
one
fascinated
person.
to hear that.
And then the other thing I wrote down was the Zandemic, the grand Zandemic of 2016. Before this, Sossip asked me how old I was, and Xanax was one of my biggest DOCs, and became a moderate to large Xanax dealer for a while, benzo dealer. And so this endemic of 2016 and on was a fascinating thing. But my therapist, dude, let's get into that. I've got one homie on Instagram who I recommended to my therapist, and they did not like each other. They had a falling out like immediately. They got into it, and he's like, "Bro, your therapist is an asshole. What the fuck?" So he knows who my therapist is. I don't know if he'll listen to this episode, but if you do listen to this, Mr. Clout, please just keep the and I'm not going to say my therapist's name. I love the dude. My girlfriend recognizes it as well, that we don't have a very professional relationship. He treats me like a friend and breaks a lot of like HIPAA stuff, a lot of boundaries. He just really chops up with me like a homie. And he's like, "Bro, one day if you become, if you get your license, like you should come work with me, see patients for me. Like, bro, you'd be good at this, dude." I'm not trying to gas myself up too much, but he's like,
that's funny.
Interesting guy. And so
That's
he was asking me a lot of questions about Suboxone tapering and how to taper properly and when to jump off and what it was like for me and stuff. And I was like, okay, he's always been one that respects my pharmaceutical knowledge and kind of asks me it, rather than a lot of therapists and doctors kind of get offended or rubbed the wrong way or feel threatened if you exhibit that a lot of the shit they know, especially because like pay 6 figures plus and get into debt and get the go to the meritocratic institution to stamp your name saying that you're allowed to know this stuff. How the fuck do you learn? Whatever. That's my own soapbox. But I was thinking, okay, he's just asking me for help on prescribing guidelines for another patient, because he's even admitted to in the past being affiliated with some websites where it was kind of just he was being a glorified drug dealer, because he's a nurse practitioner that recently and he'll like do HRT or TRT with people, like testosterone and hormone stuff.
Are you talking about like those online like
pill mill type things?
Like a legit mill?
Well, okay. No, not a pill mill, but it was like an online telehealth thing where people would pay a flat fee, hop on a call with him and be like, "Hey, I want this," and he'd be like, "Bet," and he'd write the script and then go on about your day. He doesn't do that anymore, and he didn't outright like admit to that, but he was just like, "Yeah, I didn't fuck with this system," because it was basically being like a glorified drug dealer. But I told him a couple weeks ago when I did my ketamine and nitrous thing, and he was just like kind of shocked and was like, "Dude, most of the people and the addicts I work with have this tendency and mission to like lie about their sobriety or not let me know, their provider know, or they have trust issues with the authority, someone with therapeutic authority over them, I guess." He's like, so I'm like, really? He was just like, he was kind of moved. He's like, "Thank you for keeping it real with me. Like, keep me posted on everything." But he's also a guy who has outwardly spoken about how he doesn't like the rehab industry, how AA never worked for him when he was trying to get sober in the past. And he asked me before he found out I was a hardcore alcoholic, he's like, "So like, when do you think you're going to be able to drink again?" And I was like, that's a wild question as a substance abuse counselor to ask, someone coming to you for addiction treatment. So his DOC was hydrocodone and Roxy's and Percocet. And he was on those for years. He would take them while working in the emergency room and everything just to function through the day. And then he got off of them, used Suboxone for a while, and then told me he's been clean for like, some years, like 2 or 4 years or something. Well, turns out about 2 years ago, he actually relapsed on hydros and got up to taking like 10, 12, up to 20 of them a day.
Oh, that's easy.
Really,
How the fuck do these doctors? I know they've got to have like pretty strict guidelines. Like you can't just write yourself a script, right? But
he was copying from someone he used to see. He was copying from a patient that he used to prescribe stuff for and see in general.
I suppose you could probably do that, right? Like you could probably just get a fucking donkey. Like, "Hey, I'm gonna write you a script. You go fill it, and then give them to me, and I'll give you $500 or whatever." I'm sure that's pretty easy for them to do.
I don't know if he was writing them their prescription, because I know the opiate prescribing guidelines these days are fucking insane. The DEA is so strict. So, yeah. But he was like, "Bro, I need to be transparent with you."
I saw a bottle.
What did you say?
that. It said 240 Roxy 30s that this doctor was prescribing on the bottle. It said 240 Roxy 30s that was prescribed in New York City recently.
That's 8 Roxy a day.
That's insane.
Hell yes, brother. That's what's up right there.
That's insane.
It's not, but it.
Isn't that like recently in New York?
Wow.
That's crazy. Hey, money talks, bullshit walks in this country, like, and pretty much everywhere. I'm sure there's tons of doctors out there that still get away with private, concierge service and pain management.
There's a doctor in New York that's a ludicrous doctor.
They're fucking good opiates.
Got a
And
doctor, yo.
that's crazy. So yeah, dude, my therapist was like, I gotta be transparent with you. And he told me about that relapse he had a couple years ago, and I was like, okay, cool. But like, and he was like, and yeah, I started taking Suboxone to get off of, and he was like, and I've never stopped. Like, I've been taking Suboxone. And he was like, I was taking like 16 milligrams a day. Like, and I just really like the way it made me feel. It gives me energy. Like, he always talks about opiates give him energy, like an upper for him, which I found most people who opioids are their main DOC, it has a stimulating effect. Very talkative, energetic, etc. I think you've mentioned that, Zoot. It kind of do the same for me. It's half and half. Benzos are the thing that make me feel euphoric and energetic because it silences my brain, whereas for most people, benzos just sedate and numbs and dulls. But anyways, back to things. So I was like, oh damn, this is kind of juicy. You've been taking Suboxone still. He's like, yeah. He's like, and he was like bitching about his wife, saying that like she was agging him and stuff and being upset, and that he can't tell her that he's wanting to stop taking the Suboxone because she is happy that he's on it, because if he's not on it, she'll be convinced that he's going to go use other opiates. Oof. So he was like, last week when I was asking you about like at what milligram dose you wanted to jump off of and everything and when to stop, he's like, I was asking for me. He's like, so after our call last week, I got off, I took a 2 milligram Suboxone, and then since then, for the past week, I've been done. I just said, you know what, fuck it. He's like, I tapered down from 16 to 8, and then from 8 to 2, and then from 2 to, I think, 1 time, and then I took another 2 milligram, and then I stopped, and he was like, I'll tell you what, you were right, because I told him, I was like, going from fucking 24 to 2 is way easier than going from 2 to nothing with Suboxone.
Is it really?
Like going from 16 to 8 is a lot, and an 8 to 2, all that's way easier than it is from going from 2 to nothing.
Anything below 2 is hard.
You said anything below 2 is hard? Yeah, no, extremely. Suboxone with the weird ceiling effect, 2 milligrams and under produces the most norbuprenorphine, and norbuprenorphine is the active metabolite in it that's responsible for any recreational or positive effect in the Suboxone.
Oh, okay, got it.
So, tell me about
microgram patches that people get them, Butrans or whatever.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Suboxone's an interesting substance because even for being a partial agonist and never giving that pure euphoria, it's one of the most potent opioids that exist. Like pound for pound, it is so strong.
I've seen people with no tolerance get fucked up on buprenorphine.
Oh yeah.
Oh dude,
throwing
my
up
homies who's
like shit.
Yes, he's an avid heroin user.
Eyes penned, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he told me someone
we used to take it in the early 2000s.
Yeah, dude. My homie said he was given a tiny piece of a strip one night after coming down from a stimulant binge. Someone was like, here's some landing gear. He was sick as fuck for 2 days straight. Pinned pupils, just like, what the fuck, dude?
It lasts forever.
No joke.
At my last rehab, this kid was coming off of kratom, and they gave him what was supposed to be 2 milligrams like twice a day, right? They accidentally gave him 8 twice a day. So they gave him 16 milligrams of subs while he's coming off of kratom.
Oh my God. Yeah, he was just nod central, dude.
Mom came to pick him up on like Thanksgiving, and he was still fucked up, and then like she just left with him. She took him out of the rehab. This place was awful. And they let me stay on my Klonopin the entire time. It was the best rehab I've ever been to because they allowed me to stay on my Klonopin, so I was able to take in the big book while not coming off of benzos. And I wasn't at an absurd dose. I was taking 1 milligram twice a day, and I was able to take my Suboxone like 4, I think it was like 8 and 4, yeah, and it was good. It was good.
That's what's up, dude. That's fucking fascinating. Klonopin that was the first benzo I ever tried when I was 15. It's always been one of my favorites.
Unfortunately, like I called the rehab because I was like, hey, do you guys take scholarships? Like I would love to come back. And they were like, we don't do that anymore.
Um, so with my therapist, there's a twist here too. There's an added joint down. I also fumbled the jizzy, the blizzy, the jizzy. That's fucked up. So he told me about some insomnia he was having and like the restless legs. And then at about day 3, we met on a Wednesday. He took his last dose. And then he said by Friday and Saturday, he was having that intermittent diarrhea. So he figured he was, getting in the thick of it. In my experience, because Suboxone's extremely long half-life, Suboxone withdrawals don't even really start for me until like day 3 or 4. And then at like the 1 to 2 week mark is when they start to peak and really get bad. Now, before I drop this next bomb, which was the most interesting part to me, I've heard of people a lot of times in the past smoking meth when they were dope sick from heroin or fent, and they swore that meth got rid of their opioid withdrawals or would at least help a lot. I myself have used Adderall or Vyvanse when in 7.0 or Kratom withdrawal or Suboxone withdrawal in the past, and I have noticed like, oh shit, it really does help a lot of the opioid withdrawals. It's not like a 1-to-1 helpful conversion thing, receptor or helpful. It's not a 1-to-1 conversion as far as much as it helps you the way that like for benzos and alcohol, benzos help with alcohol withdrawals because it's actually occupying the same GABA receptors. I think with the amphetamines helping with the opioid withdrawals is just some sort of like, I don't know. It's boosting you up with serotonin. It's like activating lots of receptors, serotonin.
It's like a distraction.
That are otherwise really down. Yeah, it distracts you. And I think it also can limit some of the like extreme anxiety or creepy crawlies or restless legs. It can eliminate a lot of the shit. It's just an interesting thing. I got to do more research into why receptor wise that works. But I was wondering, okay, how is my therapist functioning so well right now, given that he just stopped? He's only a week in with his Suboxone withdrawal. And he's like, yeah, I've been taking like 90 to 120 milligrams of instant release Adderall a day. Can you tell? Do I look like I'm geeked up right now? And I was like, holy shit, dude. It's like, no, I can't really tell. I was like, but that makes sense. I was like, that really helps with opioid withdrawals. He's like, yeah, that's why I've been doing it. He's like, I can't just stop. He's like, I got, my daughter's like 11. My day starts at 5:30 every day. I see all these patients and whatnot.
Fuck, dude.
Like, I gotta just keep functioning, and like my wife doesn't.
I don't ever want to be in where that guy is at. That's why I'm trying to get myself
I know, dude, I felt so bad
fixed.
For him.
That sounds like hell.
I felt so bad for him. Yeah, he was like, he's like, I can't afford to just go be sick for a couple of days. He's like, even when I was like at first withdrawn from the subs and was feeling down and just like going through it, my wife was like, what? So you're not going to talk to me? I was like, you don't get it. He was like, she'll never get it. Made me so grateful for my girlfriend being someone who's so understanding and who's always aware of what I'm going through whenever I relapse or fuck around with shit. But it was like, so do you think I'm stupid for taking that much Adderall? Like, what's the deal? I was like, no, man, it seems like you're just trying to function and get by. You're just trying to survive just as much as the next guy is. But I was like, that is a lot of Adderall. And like, I don't want you to fall into the trap of getting off the subs and being free from that and then being stuck with a crippling amphetamine addiction, because we both commiserated with how intense Adderall fatigue can be. Coming off of long-term heavy amphetamine use is one of the most depressing, anhedonic, lethargic experiences I've ever been through. And anyone who's come off of crack or, intense powder usage or meth, it's all very similar. So he's like, well, I've got a solution. He's like, I'm about to switch myself over. Just a nice dose of Vyvanse. It's like, that's smoother, and I won't be redosing it, and yeah, it'll all be good. And I was like,
I mean, that's what you think, bro. You're gonna redose it. Trust me, that shit.
Yeah, and I was like, then you're still gonna be dependent on amphetamines.
You can get really into a trap with that Vyvanse shit, man. I swear.
I know. I've done it so many times.
Because I've noticed with that stuff, it like has a very sharp, almost like a. Man, I don't know. It's like the effectiveness just like cuts in half to where it's like you start with like a 90 and then like 4 hours later you're like, oh, I want to redose, and you take like another 90, and then it's like 2 hours later it's like, well, I could take another one, and now 1 hour later I take another one, and then 30 minutes later I take, like you just,
and you're not sleeping
and you're shit. Not, yeah, but there's like a euphoria when you first take it that like you chase, and then it
absolutely. My compulsive redosing with prescription amphetamines is like with no other substance. It's on par with crack for me. Vyvanse is so interesting, and it was always my favorite because if aside from Dexedrine, which was just hard to find, which is pure dextroamphetamine, but Adderall is mixed amphetamine salts. It's levoamphetamine and dextroamphetamine. Dextroamphetamine, the D isomer, is I don't know if it's an isomer or entameter, but we'll that's something to look into. The dextroamphetamine, the D amp, is the euphoric one. That's the one you want. That's what we all chase. The L amp, the levoamphetamine, that's the tweak, the body load, the really focused sensation. And so Vyvanse is lisdexamphetamine. It's an What's up?
That's prescribed as Dexedrine if you ever want to get it prescribed.
Yeah,
Dexedrine.
that's what I was saying. Yeah, it's Dexedrine, the pure D-amphetamine. That's reserved for narcoleptics in most cases. It's hard
Prescribed the 5 milligram instant release tablets.
Yes, those are the only ones I've ever had were the little 5s of just pure Dex, bro.
That's amazing.
Crazy. Them as much as they liked.
You said what now?
Brenson liked them as much as they liked Adderall.
Really?
Yeah, they said they heard it. The physical portion of the levo.
And I've met another guy who said the thing he loved about it was when his chest got tight and he was sweating and pounding. Like that's what he was into was the levo tweak.
Exactly.
Vyvanse, the lisdexamphetamine, it's an L. I think it's a lysine molecule, or I always said L isomer, but I don't think it's an isomer. But it's like a lysine attached to dextroamphetamine.
That gets digested by your liver.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, so normal Adderall amphetamines is processed by the liver first. What makes Vyvanse difference is the lysine has to be cleaved off in the small intestine first, so it gets absorbed in through the stomach. Then you have just a steady stream of pure dextroamphetamine being fed to the liver. So that's why Vyvanse is, and it lasts all fucking day, and it's just like I fucking love Vyvanse, dude. Because my therapist was like.
And he was like, you can't take Adderall. I heard you were addicted to that at your last sober living. I was like, what the fuck? He's like, you can take Vyvanse, though. I was like, okay.
Someone at a rehab said that to you? That's crazy.
Living.
At sober living? That's crazy. They're like, you can take Adderall, you can take Vyvanse.
I was like, I need my fucking Adderall. They're like, if you want the Adderall, you can never come back here. You can't come back and grab the rest of your stuff. Like, we're throwing it all away. And I was like, give me my fucking Adderall. And they were like, because they acted like they threw it away. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Give me my pills.
Yeah, fuck that.
I needed to fucking make that money to, like, get housing for a week until I moved into this place that I'm moving out of.
For anyone taking Adderall or Vyvanse, well, to end the therapist thing, and I'll shut up about that. He was like, dude, the only thing that sucks, and like this whole therapy session we had was me giving him fucking therapy and me advising him on his like hiding his use. And he told me that he couldn't tell his wife that he's only told 2 people in his life, me being one of them, about this shit, which made me feel honored in a way. And like, this is dope. This dude really trusts me. He was like, the thing that sucks about Vyvanse that I'm dreading with the switch is that, you're just dragging for the first 2 hours. It takes a while to kick in and I need that shit instant. I was like, well, you do what I used to do and bust that bitch open and stir it in water. Yeah, take the capsule open, mix it in water, and take it as a shot. He's like, all right, bet I'll try that. And I was like, also, if you're curious, baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, and water. Take a shot of baking soda or some Tums, and that will vastly potentiate amphetamines. It will make oral amphetamines much, much stronger. And then another thing to avoid is ascorbic acid, like vitamin C, or any citric acid, anything acidic. Like if you have a big glass of orange juice with your breakfast after you took your ADHD meds, it will cancel out the effects pretty immensely. Vitamin C heavily reduces the efficacy of oral amphetamines.
You eat better too. Like I noticed, like your amphetamines will hit better. But I have a prescription for Adderall, and I literally just sell them all. Like I don't feel the need to take them. I maybe keep 5 a month, and like I still have like them like right here after like 10 days. I don't feel the need to take Adderall, but like my thing with like hard, like completely different. So it's like you'd think I'd be like attracted to just a dopamine, release, but that's not what it is.
It's so interesting how people have different relationships and levels of self-control with different drugs. I can't handle Adderall worth it. Damn, dude. I get to taking 90 to 120 to 150 milligrams of the big 30s of instant release a day. And like Zoot said, even with the Vyvanse, I was redosing, so I'm over 100 milligrams of Vyvanse, taking a 70 milligram capsule and then half of a 70 later on, which is a lot of fucking Vyvanse. I would just redose, bro, and it makes me drink. You can drink an ungodly amount, and I'm already a pretty hardcore alcoholic. I'm not drinking currently. I'm sober, but I'm methadone sober. My caveat I always give. But Dude, amphetamines, Adderall turned me into a sex freak, dude. It turns me into a
Oh,
horny,
uh,
porn addicted, masturbating bastard.
wait, can we talk
That's
about
real
like what
life.
from Suboxone to methadone? Like that's like a pretty big switch. Like for like a lot of people, like like a lot of people are like, oh, you just switch from methadone to Suboxone. Like, what made you want to do that switch backwards?
Yeah. So a lot of people had that question for me. So I'd been on Suboxone for, say, I want to say 2.5 years. It would have been, yeah. Trying to remember. 2 years. Oh, yeah, about 2.5, about 2.5. Okay. So, anyways, I never got a single period of sobriety while on the Suboxone. I always ended up mixing it with other stuff. The most stable I was on it ever, where I was holding down a job as an au pair for an autistic child, like going into his home, taking care of him every day and everything, was when I was on 70 milligrams of Vyvanse. And it's before I fell back into my hardcore, sexual phase. That's when I switched to Adderall and would redose like fuck. Was Vyvanse, Suboxone, and smoking weed every night. That was the most stable I ever got on Suboxone. Most of the time, I was on tons of PCP analogs, hardcore benzos, Suboxone, alcohol, drinking like crazy, smoking hella weed, a lot of cocaine, some crack. But yeah, I was always mixing other stuff with Suboxone, and it's not the Suboxone's fault. I just, I was taking it to, I had come off of a series of really serious fentanyl overdoses of like needing to be Narcan, overdosing in the street in downtown Atlanta, waking up in a stairwell. Like there's a period of, actually, this is a very interesting, kind of crazy story to show the addict brain. I had come off of the fentanyl. I had already been to detox and gotten off of the fentanyl, right? And I was back on, and I had gotten on Kratom, and was doing lots of other stuff, Lyrica, benzos, whatever, drinking alcohol, smoking. But I went to rehab several months later after the fentanyl overdoses, and it had been like 2 months, right? It had been 2 months since I had done any fentanyl, and I was heavily addicted to Kratom. And I had tapered off the Kratom at home and gone through some pretty intense Kratom withdrawals because I didn't taper off too abruptly. I was just drinking myself silly with liquor. And so I pretty much gone through the Kratom withdrawals as well. I had never taken Suboxone in my life at this point. Only I'd had buprenorphine for the fentanyl taper, and I was on a little bit of real heroin then too. I'd only gotten that actually once, but I got a pretty big sack that lasted a couple days. Anyways, I get to this rehab in Mississippi. I tell them that, yeah, you know what? I've been doing tons of fentanyl. I've been doing tons of fentanyl. I'm a fentanyl addict, even though I was mainly there for alcohol withdrawals, right? For alcohol and benzo withdrawals. I was done with my Kratom withdrawals, and I don't think I pissed positive for fentanyl there. But they were like, all right, well, we'll put you on buprenorphine taper. And dude, they put me on 16 milligrams. Same story as that kid. They put me on 16 milligrams of buprenorphine to start, bro. I was sick as a fucking dog, nodding out, pinned pupils, just throwing up like fuck for 2 or 3 days till my body got used to it. And then my mindset was, I'm back in rehab. This fucking sucks. I want to be on something. I want something that's going to give me some sort of feeling, aside just a little benzo taper that's going to get taken away from me. So then when they gave me the option to be on maintenance, I was like, yeah, I'll be on maintenance. Let's do it. And then that started a 2.5 year being trapped to Suboxone. The only time I ever got off of it on my own was when I got Brixadi, which is like the new and improved Sublocade, basically. I got a couple Brixadi shots and let it wear off, and then used a little bit of Kratom for the withdrawals, and then I was clean from it. But then I got really addicted to 7.0 and was taking, up to 240 milligrams of 7.0 at a time, just at one time every day. And so, anyways, to answer your question, this time around, I really wanted to be sober. I wanted to do the best I can do and fucking, make it count this time. And I have failed every other time in the past with Suboxone. If Suboxone's goal and job was to, help with my cravings, keep me off of other stuff, it had never really been able to do that in the past. And I knew methadone was stronger. I knew methadone gave more of a feeling. It was a full agonist, and it's something you could keep going up with. And so I did lots of research, talked to lots of people, and I figured the reason MAT in theory would work for me, or what I'm looking out of it, is to get something that satiates me and tickles my receptors enough to where I feel content. Like, all right, I'm good. I don't need to go fiend for other stuff. I don't need to seek out a more intense high. Suboxone gave me blue balls, dude. Suboxone was the blue balls of substances for me. It was like kind of an inkling of I'm a little high, but goddamn, I want more. I need something else. And so I'd gotten to 2 months sober on Suboxone this time around, and it was my cravings were through the roof, hardcore every day, and I was worried I was going to go back to smoking weed again. Which for me, I would love to be Cali sober, but I've never been able. I have intense cross addiction with weed to other substances. I start smoking weed, and then it makes me want to drink, and then I just have a history of doing that. And then when I start drinking, all bets are off. I become like a fifth a day drinker, and then mix it with lots of other stuff and get on benzos and stimulants. So I went to the methadone clinic and was honest with them, like, "Hey, been on Suboxone, but I'm worried that I'm going to fall into my old patterns, and Suboxone's never worked for me. I've never really been, you know." And I know that, and for people listening who are going to like call me out or whatever, I would call myself out if I was listening to this. I know that MAT is not a magic pill or liquid in our case or strip that's going to magically make me sober or get me off other things. I have to want to be sober and do the work, right? And put in effort and try my hardest and just be, accept that I'm not gonna, just can't have those insane highs every day or whatever. But I think I've been at such a point through this current period of recovery where I'm very motivated and ready to change my life and to keep growing and to stay off of most all substances except for my, couple times a year ketamine trip experiment I'm trying. To where I was like, I think methadone is going to help bridge that gap. And so far, it's been tremendous, man. It has done absolutely that. I get a nice warm buzz every morning that lasts most of the day. In the evenings, I've noticed very intense cravings. So split dosing might honestly be a good idea for me. I don't get sick like a lot of people mention in between my dose each morning, but in the evening times, I do crave a lot.
How many milligrams do you take?
I'm on 60 milligrams.
Gotcha. So that's what I take in the at night.
Yeah, and this low dose, it works for me so far. It does it.
Yeah, I think that might. I've noticed that like around the 60 to 90 range is where people start to say that they don't get the like nighttime, like weirdness. At least that's in my experience what I've heard a lot of people say. So it makes sense that
you're saying once you.
Yeah, like, or if
you're saying once you get higher than that, that's when people start to get sick in the evenings.
Or no, like that they don't get the like cravings or weirdness at night. But even like at my 90,
I was saying I do get.
Yeah, even at my range of 90, like I'm saying like if you were up higher, you might not get the cravings as much. But even at my 90, I still get like a little bit, not really cravings, but every once in a while I'll get like a weird like hot flash where I feel it like kind of coming off and then it like comes back on. So like that, I've heard so many people talk about this 60 to 90 range where you and I are at as having those kind of things. But, I also think it's like it almost really doesn't matter that like no matter what dose you're on, like you can chase that ladder up as high as you want and it's never going to feel like you want to feel like, know? So it's like,
yeah, absolutely.
I tell people mostly stay as low as you can just because it'll make it easier to get off of.
Like
that's what
in 80 so many times, and I've just like gone to the clinic, gotten medicated, and I've been fine. I haven't needed the need to go up from 60 and 60 since I've been on this dose for the last like 7 or 8 months.
That's what's up, dude. That's what's up. Yeah, I would be down to go up another maybe 10. I could see myself going up to 80 in the future, like in increments of 10, like going up to 70, adjusting a throttle, then maybe going up to 80. But I'm gonna wait as long as possible. And in a perfect world, I would like to never have to go above 80, just for making it easier when the time does come to get off of it.
Better, because like that's if you want to taper off, like, or get back on subs, like you're closer to 30, and that way you can kind of just like do the Polynesian method or whatever it's called. I forget.
I think I'm hopefully done forever with subs. I don't think I'll ever. No hate to subs. They save lives. Yep. They're really helpful for tons of people. If I ever did, Brixadi is the way to go. That's the most helpful version of it, where you get that steady stream of monthly buprenorphine.
I'm like stuck in New York basically, and I'm trying to move to Denver, and so I have to like coordinate, finding a methadone clinic in Denver that's gonna like do the transfer care with my clinic. So that's just something I have to worry about. But once I get that all taken care of, and if I can get that set up so I can at least go once a week, hopefully twice, once every 2 weeks would be great. If my clinic can recommend me for that, that would be amazing, because then I get 26 take homes.
Yeah.
Sick. And then so God forbid I don't want to go in, like then they remove the take home abilities. But like if I wanted to go in like a day or something late, I could. But yeah. So I'm just trying to get that all set for, but I'm just excited about that move.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to keep me posted and see where your journey takes you. Colorado's a wonderful place.
Well, it's like
so
affordable, and that's the coolest thing. It's like, I have this beautiful opportunity right now where, I just have to stay focused and not use like hard drugs, and I'll be able to make that move. And yeah,
I think you got it, dude.
Thanks.
So let me ask you, Sam Sossip, are you a Zionist?
No.
So what is your
opinion on
there? Hell yeah, dude! I just get right to it.
Hold on.
Palestine, baby.
Sorry, what
is it? I was just saying, free Palestine, baby. What is it like? Is it a source of contention within the Jewish community of y'all being like, oh, they, is it kind of like, I guess, with like Southern, I guess it's all Americans, but like, let's say in like, Southern white culture, it's like, oh yeah, those people are MAGA and like and like, we're not or whatever. It's like, oh, are you MAGA or not? People get into that. Like within the Jewish community, is that a big source of contention, or is it something people keep to themselves, or can you kind of tell like, oh yeah, they're definitely Netanyahu supporters or
that often, like I'm not like super within the Jewish community enough like to really comment on that, but I feel like
Sigma Jew,
like
Sigma
I feel like
Jew.
Well, like I feel like the people in like my Instagrams, like I've definitely had people hit me up being like, "Oh, you're that." Yeah, and I have cousins who are American, and like their cousins, I don't think are related to me, like went to IDF and fought, who are American. So definitely there was a lot of Jews who are like on that side, but I've just been trying to stay away from politics just because I feel like it's like a source of divide.
It's all fake and gay.
Yeah. Yeah. What are the bread and circuses?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
political theater it's fucked up.
People, and I just feel like it's like designed to like draw people apart. And I just feel like right now, like, I just need like all like the like love I can get, and I just like can't like absorb any negative energy right now.
Yeah. That's
beautiful. My peace is the most important thing for me, so I admire you for protecting yours.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you gotta do what you gotta do, and like, I'll be honest, like I have like roommates who are just like, yo, like we need you to move like within like the month. And I'm just like, I need like 6 weeks to like figure my shit out. I was like, I'm putting myself first, like,
well, yeah,
yeah, you should
have to like, and like it sucks because like, but like at the end of the day, like you have to be selfish sometimes, and like in order to get your affairs in order, like, but that's it's a whole story for a different day.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel about the new Epstein emails that were released? Did you see the one of Jeffrey Epstein's brother saying, hey, does Steve Bannon have, or Putin, one of those guys, Bannon and Putin were both mentioned, have the video of Donald Trump giving Bubba head?
Yeah.
And Bubba is Bill Clinton's nickname.
That sounds fake as shit
Donald
to
Trump.
me. Here's the thing, man.
The emails are real. But
I think that, but we're gonna
to
believe this. Like these. So what are we supposed to believe here? First, he was supposed to be a pussy hound that couldn't get away from women and was a misogynist, and now we're supposed to believe he's secretly gay, and we're supposed to believe these emails from a known trafficking group of people that are linked to Mossad. It's like, what are we doing here, man? Like, I don't know. I just don't care
it's all
anymore.
Insanity.
It's all fake, stupid shit designed to like.
Together.
It's all it's all designed together so that they can pop these stories out to distract people from shit. Like, for example, the fact that they slipped that gigantic hemp ban into the fucking the government bill. You saw that shit, right?
I know.
The funding bill. They decided to just slip that in without anyone knowing, and they can get away with that shit because they drop these like salacious stories into the news cycle whenever they want. So I don't,
think it would be a massive piece of legislation that got debated upon and talked about, an open fucking discourse about hemp, yes or no, and they're just like, let's slid this in here, kill a fucking $1 billion industry.
Because we're all worried about Trump giving blowjobs. That's what they can get away with. So I think it's by design, Like, fuck, man.
Yeah, the 2018 Farm Bill changed the game as we know it for so many people. Two of my old plugs, they're hardcore motherfuckers. Like, we were all, cartel affiliated and associated. Like, one of them that me and him were like, 3 of us dodged a case that wrapped up like 20-something people back in 2020. We're the only ones that walked free. He got out the game and has started one of the most successful hemp companies, like one of the biggest power players in the hemp, in the commercial hemp industry. And like they did so well that they were able to make a parent company for one of their, one of our other associates or whatever. And these dudes have been killing it. They got kids to feed and like they're doing good. They're going to all these trade shows. And it's crazy to think that the 2018 Farm Bill, as we know it, could be totally destroyed. I saw that it was saying that less than 0.4 milligrams of THC so that makes just CBD basically the only available thing then.
No. So it's only about it's hemp products. Marijuana doesn't count as that. This is supposed to target like Delta 8, HHC.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, the 2018 Farm Bill type stuff. I know legal dispensaries and legal states are going to be fine. They're chilling. Things will go on as per usual. But for all the illegal states where the hemp stuff, and when I say hemp, I mean, Delta 8, Delta 10, THCP, HHC.
Which to be fair, I feel like the only reason that stuff came about is because they won't just fucking legalize the real shit. Absolutely. So it's like, so now you created this whole kind of gray market because you won't just pass a fucking sweeping legislation that nationally decriminalizes it, and now you're gonna fucking sweep up all this other stuff. Like for example, I have people in my life that use like CBD with low dose of THC for like arthritic pain because of like cancer meds and shit like that, and now that stuff's like potentially getting swept up in it. It's like, if you guys would read a fucking book for once, these people don't even know how Wi-Fi works, and they're like legislating all this shit for us. It's a fucking joke. Yeah.
And so I think it's going to make just normal CBD, like non-psychoactive stuff, the only available thing where you could be getting all these gummies, all these vapes, tinctures, seltzers, dude,
I think you can still go to like, if you go to a dispensary, you can go to get regular CBD mixed with, THC, but as far as like the over-the-counter non-dispensary CBD products, like anything with 0.4 milligrams of THC or more is like,
and because like what even constitutes a dispensary in these places? There's like boutique dispensaries here in Atlanta, like ATL RX and Therasolve Botanicals and other places that are Farm Bill compliant THC only stores, but I think they're the same legally. They're the same type shit as a smoke shop or a head shop, a gas station that's also selling it. There's no like, intense license that you are a medical associate or a recreational dispensary like there are in other states. But dude, if that's the case, it's going to give all the money back to gangs, cartels, and fucking pack boys.
Well, the hope is that
shit, which I don't mind if they get their shit, but
the hope is that they have a year for this to like, it's before it would even take place, like kick into place, and they're hopeful that they're going to be able to like, address the amendment. And dude, I gotta give props where props is due. Fucking Rand Paul and Thomas Massey. Two homies that actually stood up and were like, yo, we need to actually amend this so that this is not as a part of this funding bill. All got shut down, and they got shut down by fucking both sides. Democrats and Republicans fucking jumped on this shit. So no one's out to fucking help you. Like whatever side you think you're on, they're all fucking crooks. They're all taking money from
they both suck.
Yeah, and so
it's two heads of the same fucking Medusa.
Yeah, it's by design. It's no one's ever happy or satisfied because it's designed to be this like pendulum swing back and forth, right? But unfortunate.
We already lost THCA, which was awesome. That's, for those that don't know, THCA is normal weed. It's normal Delta 9 THC, and it's turned into Delta 9 once it's all weed is THCA, all normal weed is THCA before it's combusted or vaporized or heated. Then it turns into Delta 9. And so THCA was sold down here in the illegal states for a while, which was just real weed, and that was fucking awesome. That got banned in a lot of places, which sucked. Before that, are y'all familiar with THCO acetate?
Mm-mm.
THCO was one of the first alt cannabinoids. Like, THCP is the most popular, strongest one, I guess, of the alt cannabinoids is what I call them. I think what they're called also now. But before that, when the only ones really around was just Delta 8, Delta 10, and HHC, hexahydrocannabinol, you had THCO, which was the strongest by far, and it was It was very potent, very strong, and it was very spiritual and psychedelic. Weird thing about it is that you would smoke that shit, and I loved the THCO dabs. That was my favorite. But you would smoke that shit, and you would not feel a thing for 15 to 45 minutes later. You wouldn't even start coughing. You would start coughing 15 minutes later. It was a delayed, and smoked. It was a delayed reaction THC, and it was much stronger, much more psychedelic, but it got quickly seized upon and isolated by the DEA and scheduled and canceled and ripped out of the alt cannabinoid scene. It was found in all these illegal states, same place you go get your normal Delta 8. You could get THCO acetate. I think it was, I don't know what the O stands for, but it was acetylized THC, like, diacetyl morphine is heroin. It's acetylized morphine or whatever. So I think acetylized, whatever that means, it makes drugs stronger in a lot of instances. But I remember reading and hearing that the reason you would start coughing 15 minutes later, and the reason why it was so delayed, is because your body had to de-acetylize the compound, and then it would kick in, which I think it's carcinogenic more so than normal. And
you're putting your lungs to work.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the best for you.
It's interesting how the DEA jumped so hard on that one, which kind of goes to show you these motherfuckers know what's going on. Like they act like they are like they're aloof and shit, but I'd be fascinated to know what kind of chemistry and stuff that they're doing behind the scenes to analyze the things that they decide to legislate against, because it's not like
just have the information so I could go have the information to go see doctors that are on a DA list, just go see them before they get fucked over. I just want, because have you guys ever gone on ProPublica prescriber checkup?
No.
What's it called? No.
There's literally a national database of every prescriber and what they've been prescribing, of the most Medicare claims in the United States. So you can see the top prescribers of oxycodone, your state, and, by what county they're in.
Holy
and
shit.
So that's how I got a lot of my alprazolam doctors, and would just go on that list. But it hasn't been updated since 2019. But back in the day, it was fucking the best.
The rub maps for doctors.
Seriously, it was amazing.
Shout out to rub maps, dude.
If you were resourceful and knew how to use the internet, in the early, and then you were a good actor, back in those days, I used to get bottles of Tussinex,
Dude, liquid gold.
That's
crazy. For those that don't know, Tussinex is hydrocodone syrup. It's a gold syrup that is it puts lean codeine syrup to shame. Tussinex is a highly sought after syrup. It was my favorite.
Also, hydrocodone was rescheduled at the time because I started college in 2013 or 2014, and so back then hydrocodone was only a Schedule 4, and they rescheduled it to Schedule 2 in 2015. It was much easier to get hydrocodone syrup and everything back then, but I was getting pints.
Oh, God Almighty! I was paying this dude, this Mexican guy and this black dude in San Antonio, Texas. I was paying them $800 a pint, and I would get 3 pints at a time. So I'd be sending them $2,400. This is when I was trapping, so I'd disposable money. And they'd send me a pints of what was supposed to be high tech and walk heart codeine syrup in shampoo bottles. I'd get 3 Head and Shoulder and Pert shampoo bottles that were extremely taped up with clear tape, wrapped up in t-shirts in the mail. And it was red, and I had the red high tech and then the purple walk heart. And I would pour up an entire pint, an $800 bottle, into a 2-liter of Sprite, throw in some pressed Xanax bars, which were most likely atizolam or clonazepam, empty out some gabapentins in there, some Ambien if I had it. And I remember getting all these weed lollipops back then, and I take my brass knuckles while they were, sealed, and smash up the weed lollipop till it was literally just powder, and then open those up and put them in the big fucking 2-liter, and then just fucking had a good day.
I would order that shit in the tub, done a bath bomb.
Yeah. It was an expensive phase.
The thing that
I think they were honestly making homebrew.
Yeah, that's for sure.
If
it's coming like that,
food coloring, and
fatty syrup,
pressed Roxy's, most likely Fent pills or Perks.
The thing I never got about the whole codeine thing is just the dollar per
weakest opiate.
Why are you buying $800 worth of fucking codeine? It's the worst.
Yeah. Clout. It was a rapper drug. It was a flex. It was just trying to be cool, and it was what I thought was a novel thing at the time.
Pharmaceutical industry did that bit design. They're just let the rappers get them started on the fucking high tech. then they're gonna need the oxys, okay? Sackler's
Yeah,
like,
literally.
The Sacklers.
The Sacklers just rubbing their greasy paws. There's a
I
whole
like-
thing. People say Justin Bieber got activist canceled, got activist banned. He was, highly promoting it. Had the
Was it
activist
really?
sweatsuits back then
Dude,
and
I
stuff.
think that was like
Yeah,
a meme.
Justin Bieber was like heavily promoting activists. A lot of
That was
people
like a
attribute
meme
him to
done by
getting
the
it banned.
providers. That was a meme done by the pharmaceutical industry because they were gonna like put activists out of industry anyway. They're like, let's just like market it so that's blamed on Justin Bieber. They're like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
will blame Justin Bieber and Soulja Boy for getting act.
just like they're just Jewish
getting
people
act
doing funny
banned.
things.
Mm-hmm.
They're just Jewish people doing funny things.
Yeah, straight up.
Oh. Well, Sam, do you have any story before we like close out? Do you have any stories you want to tell? Any like hot takes and you want to get off your chest? Any opinions you want the world to know? Anything you want to like, this is your time to shine.
I don't know.
I'll let you think about
Yeah,
that, and I want to ask you about what's it like being a
9/11
stand-up comedian.
9/11 was an inside job.
Facts.
Let's see. Like I said, you asked me about Zionism. Like I think like the whole October 5th or whatever thing was like Netanyahu allowed it to happen. He funded Gaza. He funded Hamas. Funded Hamas. And I also think that Israel might have done 9/11.
Yeah.
You know about the dancing Israelis?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I've seen that shit.
Yes.
That's just crazy.
100%. But I'm not going to say
We got to do a
I love
conspiracy episode soon.
I don't want to say that I don't love.
We'll have my
being-
buddy Jack on for that, dude. He'll go fucking ham.
I don't not love being Jewish. Like growing up Jewish, it was like a very fun thing. Celebrating Hanukkah. It was a very special thing. It's like being Jewish does not equate to being a Zionist.
Sure.
Like
Absolutely.
Judaism is a beautiful thing. Jewish people are great
Absolutely.
people. Like there's like some like bad apples. Like just like with every religion and every group, there's
Exactly.
bad
It's like
extremists.
ISIS for Muslims or the Westboro Baptist Church for Christians.
Yeah,
Or
for
anyone in
sure.
Alabama.
Yeah.
And like
Just kidding,
unfortunately,
Alabamans.
like these Jewish people have really big ties to like the government and like America, so we're gonna have to figure that out.
Yeah.
But like that's but like once we get that all sifted out, or maybe that's not the right word, but yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to meet you guys again though, for sure. I appreciate
Awesome.
you guys having me
Yeah,
on.
we can definitely have you on as a repeat guest and as a
Yeah.
a frequent appearance.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You're
That's kind of
fun
our
dude to
plan.
talk to.
Is to kind of cycle back through and tap in with everyone again and see what's going on, especially
Right
because everyone, it'd be cool to hear how your move has gone and all that stuff and
Yeah,
what's
next
changed.
move will be Denver. Next move would be Denver, so I'll be like looking out the window instead of this. Like, it'd be like fucking
Dude, I'd love to come see you sometime and go fucking skiing up there. Go hit a
Dude,
casino.
Breckenridge. We got to hit Breck.
Well, I was looking
The
at
fourth
Breck. Yeah,
wall
Breck is
ski
like
trip.
Breck is beautiful. My friend has a cabin in Breckenridge.
It's so beautiful.
And then, like we could get a pass and shit. But like, yeah, dude, the idea of them is to move to Denver. Like be around nature, and like I love cannabis, so I want to get into the cannabis industry possibly. Like I've also got like 505 coming in from the government every week until the end of July. Like I'm gonna utilize that.
Yeah.
Like my SNAP benefits hit. Thank God, got my SNAP benefits. But like
Yeah.
I'm gonna utilize that, bro, and like just enjoy nature. You know what I'm saying? That shit's cheap, bro. Nature is cheap. Like
Mhm.
just fucking
I know,
like
dude.
going outside, like and just
I
enjoying
can't
nature
wait
and
to get out of
observing it.
Atlanta and be in nature. Nature is just, it's my happy place. It's where the soul heals. It's where we're meant to be. I want to go visit
Yes,
my
I'm
homie.
possibly gonna
Jack
get
up
a
in
dog.
Maine soon. Dude,
Possibly
we're about to
gonna
get
get
a
a
cat.
Yeah,
Me and
dogs
Sarah
are
are gonna get a
dogs
cat
are.
for the first
Cat or a
time.
dog? What do you think? Because like I'll be in the mountains, bro. Like I could take
I'm
my
dog.
I got
I'm
hikes
pro
and
dog.
shit.
I'm anti-cat lately.
I'm a dog
cats,
person. I've
cats
never
are
had a
smelly
cat.
and
I've always
annoying.
been scared of I've always been scared
Yeah.
of cats and hated cats. But lately, my girlfriend's been indoctrinating me and getting me hyped up on getting a cat. And
Cats
dogs
are
not
fun when
conducive
they're
to where we live
kittens,
in this
and then they
Midtown
become.
condo.
Bro, chat. By the way, if you guys want to check out my SoundCloud, check out like the song called like "Old Habits Die Hard." I think the username is like Ozzy Sauceborn, so like OZZY Sauce SAUCE born, and then like Cellophane Mother. But also, if anybody can help me find like an apartment or preferably like a little like house or a townhouse in Denver or like nearby, for like under 1,000, and then like maybe like a vehicle like for really cheap that has like 4-wheel drive. That's like all I'm looking for, and I'll be Gucci. But your boy's
Okay.
stuck in NYC.
I think we can end the episode with your track if you want to have it pulled up. So,
Yeah.
Which one?
old
Dude, I gotta
habits die
pay
hard.
SoundCloud. Like
Oh, hell
I've
yeah.
posted more songs over the years than you can post with a free account. And when
Yeah,
my
and they shut
subscription of
your
like
shit
SoundCloud
down.
Artist Pro ran out, they fucking took off so many of my old songs that are like a
Damn.
beautiful time capsule of my life. They'll still be there if I pay for it, right? They'll be able to be
Yeah.
re-uploaded. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude,
So I
so
was
the
like,
story
what
behind
God?
this song is I snuck my computer into rehab and I recorded this like with like my garage band and then this girl ratted on me and I got my computer taken away.
Nice.
Dude, I
Yes.
recorded a track in rehab as well, but they let me have my computer and my mic and stuff there. My girlfriend brought my
Dude, that's
mic.
a
I had a
civil
fucking
rehab.
studio set up in my room, bro.
That's
Cool. So
sick.
yeah, you guys won't be
That's
able
a
to hear it,
civil-
but
civil
I'll put it in, I'll edit it in so that is
Yeah,
our
dude.
outro. So yeah, thanks for
Hell yeah.
coming on and stuff.
You came and you went, the money's been spent. Let's go to a bar, let's party, get bent. I don't got all the answers, no. Pack my bags on a plane, I'll go. Seagulls fly. Don't you lie to me. Realize that old habits die hard. Your daddy got mad when he saw what we had. The doctors dried up, I got sick so bad. I don't got all the answers, well. Hold my hand and we'll jump into hell. But seagulls fly. Don't you try with me. Realize that old habits die hard. I don't know what you want from me. Nothing in this life comes free. I don't know what you want from me, no. Oh no. Whoa, 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 whoa. You strum my guitar, I bang on your drums. You squeeze lemon juice, I mix it with rum. I don't got all the answers, no. You pick me up when I feel so low.